Hi friends, this is Susie, your gaming guru. It is February 17th, 2022, and I'm here to show off a new Wordle-type game called Quordle, which is quadrants here of Wordle games, 4 different boards all at once. I've been looking for other opportunities for Wordle-type games ever since Wordle was purchased by the New York Times, fearing that they may end up charging us a subscription in order to play. And a lot of folks have accommodated me by sending me suggestions. To all of you Nerdle fans, I am so happy for you, but because I have a brain-based learning disability called dyscalculia, which is like a dyslexic disorder for numbers, that's not one I'm going to want to play every day. But this one is interesting. It's very complex. It's sometimes exponentially more difficult because you're working with 4 boards, but there are some tricks to help. And this comes compliments of Corey, a dear friend that, well, we went to college together and we both play Candy Crush and we both play Wordle. And so he said this one might mess with my brain. And I'm thinking, Corey, I already have a messy brain. What are you trying to do to me here? But I did play this a few times. I think it's very interesting. The other fun thing that I love is you can play daily Quordle or you can do practice. And so I'm going to work on a practice so that if you want to try your hand at the daily Quordle, I'm not going to give any spoilers that'll mess that up for you. Now, unlike the Wordle where I tend to use theme words and not really care as much about strategy in the beginning, here I am going to use some strategy. I like vowel-heavy letters for the beginning, and I'm going to choose either a do or audio. Both of those are so rich with vowels. If you do audio, the only vowel left is E or sometimes Y. And if you do a do, if I can spell it correctly, then O is left over and sometimes Y. So I'm going to go ahead and start with a do, and I know that I've spelled it correctly. Here's another fun thing with this board. If I accidentally spell something incorrectly or come up with a word that's not a word, which I tend to invent words sometimes, the board will tell me before I ever hit enter. So I'll know what to put in. So I'm going to start with a do. Just seems like a good place to start. And look at this. So this is the beauty of this thing. One word and it goes into all 4. And so it tells me bits of information. There's a D here and in this word and an E placed right here. So a lot of it follows the conventions of Wordle. An A and an E exist in this word but not in this order. And so on and so forth. And then if you look here, the keyboard gives you information. So there's no you nor I in any of these 4 puzzles. There's an A in this one, but not in the right spot. A D in this one, but not in the right spot. You see how it gives you the color of the quadrant that you're working in. And then this keyboard shows that these 2 E's are in the right spot and these 2 E's are in the wrong spot. Now I need something that's probably pretty consonant heavy, but using an O and or a Y. Lymph can be a good word for this because it really has no traditional vowels, but a Y isn't very often found here. It's more commonly found at the end of the word, so I'm not going to use that word. I think I'm going to do ports, because an S can often be found at the end of a word, especially if it's a plural word. We've got the S, R, and T, we've got an O, and I always like to use the letter P, even though it's not very common. Now look at all of the information we've gleaned from this. Here we know 4 different letters in this word and the placement of 1. 5 different letters here. 2 here, placement of 1, and 4 here, placement of none. So which one should I go for? It's pretty tricky. If I go for this one and I'm wrong, then what happens is I don't really get a whole bunch of extra information except maybe the placement of certain things. I'm going to start with this one and then probably move over to this. So let's fill in with our whiteboard here what we know. Actually, I prefer lowercase. I can see lowercase words better. And with the P, we know that the P will go here. Oops, hold on. I want to go ahead and use blue because it's more visible. P, P, or P, because we know a P can't exist here. And then D can go here, here, or here. And an S can go here, here. I see speed right away, or here. So it could be S-P-E-E-D. But it could also have another letter that we haven't yet evaluated. And that's a bit tricky for me. But we use the S, and we do need to place the S here and here. And we do need to place, no, we don't need the D anywhere. But the E, it would be interesting. I find that they tend to put in a lot of double letter things. I think I'm going to go ahead and try speed here and see what happens. Maybe a mistake because A, it could be other things and I just haven't delved in deeply enough to figure out what else it might be. And then B, I don't know what B was. Oh, I used this up, and so that's a slot here. And, you know, in order to guess the correct word, I have to actually use a slot, even though it may not be very helpful on these other areas. But it was speed. Phew, and look at this. Oh my goodness, this is a very fortunate one for me. I am fairly surprised and very happy that this ended up being so easy so far, but it's unusual. I'm going to admit that right away because I have played this about, I'd say about 8 to 10 times, and I've never seen anything this green light up so quickly. All right, so let's see what else things could be. We have S-P-E. We know this is also going to have an R in it, right? We talked about going with this one right away. Let's go with this one. We've got a P. Yeah, I can't even read that. We've got a P, that's not much better, and an E here. We know that it's going to have an A, but the A needs to be here or here. We know it's going to have an O, and the O is going to be here. But it can't be here, can't be here. It could be here or here. It's going to be opera, isn't it? Because then we also know that there's an R. No, it can't. O-P. Yes, E-R. I was thinking the R was in the right spot. It needs an R, and the R can be here or here or here. So it looks like opera, and I don't see what else it could be. That makes sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use opera again, even though it takes up one of my spaces. I'm fairly convinced it's correct, though. There we go. So now look at what we have. Let's go ahead and track all of this out. And normally I'm kind of bouncing from spot to spot. This is funny that I'm going, you know, 1, then 2. That doesn't happen often. I'm actually going to skip this and come over here. So we've got 3 spots already filled. P-E-R. We know that there's going to be an S, and we know the S can't be here. Oh, we've already got the S filled in anyway. I thought I was doing this whole logic thing where it can't be here, so it has to be here. Well, yeah, of course it's there. S-P-E-R. Okay, and I don't see any others. This is going to have an M in it, isn't it? I like to keep things a little more family friendly, but I think that's what it's going to be. Let's move over to this one. Okay, so let's see. We've got an S, we've got an E, we've got an E. So we got a double letter E here, which is nice. But we don't know what else is here. We know there's not an R. So let's see. It couldn't be sweep because we know it doesn't have a P. So sweep and sleep are out. Let's see what it could end with. If we have an E and an E, I'm trying to use the M to see if the M is a letter that's used in the other one. But I don't see, you know, sweem, sheem. That's not it. What about sheen? Sheen might work. What if I just do a word that uses up a whole bunch of these things that I'm not sure about to see if we can gather more information? What if I try hymns, which is another one of those words that doesn't have any traditional vowels in it, and it's going to disclose H, M, N, and Y, four letters that we haven't tried yet. Well, we know an M appears here, right? So we pretty much know that this one is sperm, as in a sperm whale, or a seed part. There we go. And then we know an H is going to be here, but an R is not, and an N is, so that should be sheen. S-H-E-E-N. All right, there we go. So I got it in 3, 4, 6, and 7 tries. You need 9 tries for some of these because of the way it works. But that one turned out fairly well for me. That's probably about as well as I've ever done on one of these. You can't have all 4 of them end in 3 because you have to treat each one of them individually. You have to make those guesses in order for the words to show up. If you have any questions or comments, please put those below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.